Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Mental Monday. This week I wanted to talk about something kind of Christmassy because we're 2 weeks away from Christmas. So I thought the next two Mental Mondays could be Christmas themed. And today's is about joy and kind of cultivating joy in your life. I know this time of year everybody is so focused on joy and having joy, and I don't know that there's much talk about how to actually do that. They just tell you to do it. And in some situations, for some people, that is much easier said than done. So I thought I would give my 5 tips for cultivating joy in your life any time of year. Since we're in this time of year, we will talk about it in that context. Number 1 is focus on the positive. I know I've talked about that a lot in the Thanksgiving challenge, but it really applies to everything. You can create so much better habits by focusing on the positive things. They are things that will encourage you, they're things that will lift you up and kind of keep you going through the parts where what you're trying to do maybe isn't working out, or your habit forming isn't going perfectly and you messed up that day and didn't keep it going. Focusing on the positive can really change your mindset and can set you up to have more success in cultivating joy and being happier because you're noticing the happier things. Number 2 is learn to enjoy where you're at. I know this is probably the one I struggle with the most out of all of my tips, is learning to enjoy where I'm at, being in that moment and being able to just be content with where I am rather than constantly thinking about where I'm trying to get to. And that is something I've been working on, and that is something I really want to get better at because it really does just make you discontent if you're not able to, and you're missing the good in this moment by worrying so much about getting to the good of the other moment or the other season of life that you're not at yet. So that can be a major help with cultivating a little more joy in your life, is learning how to enjoy where you are at in your life at that very moment. And that doesn't mean you do it perfectly. That doesn't mean you just do it like that. You are learning how to, and even a little progress is still progress. So embrace it, enjoy it. Number 3 is pick your battles. This applies to not just relationships where you really pick your battles with what you're gonna argue with them over, but you can pick your battles with what you stress over. You can pick your battles with what you are applying your time and resources and energy to. And that in turn can really influence cultivating joy in your life and can either give you joy or steal your joy. And you can make the choices to change that. You have control over what you stress over, what you worry about, what you focus on. And if you can discipline yourself enough to really pick your battles with what you're going to spend your time on, what you're going to stress yourself over and make a priority, you can really set yourself up to be more joyful and happier by what you're battling over and how much you're wearing yourself out. Number 4 is be in the moment. Now I know I also said learning to enjoy where you're at, but I feel like this is like a sub point to that, because learning to enjoy where you're at can be a very broad term to where you're at in life and what that whole picture looks like. Being in the moment can be a little aspect of that, where you are learning to be in that moment that you are in, like right this second. So instead of thinking about what I said 10 seconds ago or even just this last second, you're focusing on what I'm saying right now. And you're focusing on what you're doing right now and not worrying about what you need to do 10 minutes from now. You have one task right this second, and that is what you're going to focus on. And I've really been working on that too, because I can stress myself out while I'm working on something that needs to be done that moment by thinking of stuff that I also need to get done the next moment. And that just doesn't help. And it is definitely a joy stealer to lose what moment you are in by focusing on the moment you haven't gotten to yet, or dwelling in the moment you just left that didn't go so well for you. My fifth and final tip for cultivating joy in your life is to be a blessing. Being a blessing blesses you. And I know that sounds like a tongue twister and like, oh yeah, just do good for other people and in turn you'll feel better about yourself. But it doesn't work that way. Focusing on other people rather than yourself and being able to give to somebody else or help them in some way can really put your own situation into perspective, and it can show you what you do have to give. It can show you the ways things are going right for you and that you do actually have stuff to work with, that you kind of just need to figure things out, that maybe it's not as bad as you had thought. And in turn, their reaction and seeing that you were able to help that person or that family makes you feel good about doing good. It does have that element to it, but it's not as shallow as that can make it sound. It makes you feel a sense of purpose, that you were able to accomplish something, that you were able to do good and do something good, and then that gives you something to build on. It is not something to discount for how much of a blessing being a blessing can be. That is a major tongue twister. So that is probably one thing that I think we don't focus on enough, is how much it can help us just to get out of our own head and go do something for somebody else that is more than likely has much more of a right to complain than we do. So that is it. That is this week's Mental Monday. That is the Joy Mental Monday. I am super excited I got to do this one. I love the concept of joy. I've been really trying to work on that in my life in the little ways I've kind of talked about, and it's amazing what just those little habit changes can do. And they are little because you got to do them over time. It's not an overnight thing. Those are my 5 tips. If you have any other tips for cultivating more joy in your life, definitely leave them down below. I would love to hear them. And I hope this helped you in some way. I hope it was encouraging. If you are focusing on joy this Christmas, I wish you luck, and I am praying for you, and I am right there along with you. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. If you are not already subscribed, click the screen and subscribe, and then you can see when the next video comes out. And I will see you guys in that one. Bye!